Hi, I'm Andrew Byrne. I work in New York as a composer-lyricist. I also am a music director, audition pianist, and I also work as a voice teacher and vocal coach. So a musical director is basically, like it sounds, in charge of all the musical aspects of a show. That depends on how big the show is. It can be anything from conducting a huge orchestra to just playing the piano for a show, depending on the size of the production. In a Broadway show, it's definitely going to involve some conducting. It also involves rehearsals and preparing the actors and the cast for the show, and also keeping that up and making sure that the music always sounds good and sounds consistent. And in smaller shows, it can involve, like I said, just working with a small ensemble, sometimes a combo, or sometimes it's just you doing it with piano alone, and making the same thing, making sure the cast sounds great. So I got into music directing through my degrees in school. My undergraduate is a degree in voice, and I also studied piano in undergrad, and then my master's is in vocal pedagogy, which is the science of teaching singing. After that, I was hired at Boston University for a couple of years. I had a position in theater and in music there. And then I moved to New York and started working here as a pianist in Broadway shows and the pit orchestras, and started to build my voice studio. So to take you through kind of what happens in the process, just to give an example, I've done ragtime a couple times, 2 big regional theaters, and when you show up for the first day of rehearsal, the music director's already done a bunch of stuff, including decided, hopefully, a lot of the musical choices that will happen, including cutoffs, like when the notes are going to end and stuff like that, the keys for the songs, sometimes there are going to be adjustments there, and just generally getting a shape of the piece musically and understanding what the show is going to take, in addition to, of course, practicing the score and making sure that you can play the entire score, which is definitely something that also comes with the territory with us. And then at the first day of rehearsal, there's of course going to be music rehearsal. Generally that is the start of the process. Before there's any staging, we have to know the music. So that's going to be the first thing that has to happen. And personally, when I do it, I start with big numbers first, because those are going to be the most complex and to give people the most time to learn them. And then I work from there down through smaller ensembles into trios, duets, and eventually solos. And so that's going to happen throughout the rehearsal process. There's going to be checking in with that with the music director. And like I said, sometimes you will have a pianist and sometimes you won't. Often, with the way budgets are, we're split up. So if I have an assistant, he'll be in one room with the dance rehearsal, and then I'm in the other room doing staging or doing further music rehearsal. So I have to be able to play the entire score myself. As it moves towards the actual performance, we're going to have rehearsals with the orchestra, and that's going to pull me out of the staging rehearsals, and then I'm going to have to deal with making sure the whole band is on the same page, that all the cast and the director and the choreographer have decided the show is. So in that time, my work becomes kind of a liaison from the creative team to the orchestra, and making sure they know it all, and also making sure that they are rehearsed and that they sound great as well. And then through a tech process and through the dress rehearsals, I'm going to be giving notes to the orchestra and to the cast, and also conducting either from the piano or with an actual baton, and making sure that everything sounds great. And then the difference with music director is that generally I'm going to stay for the whole run of the production, whereas a director and choreographer are going to probably leave as soon as the show is opened. I'm going to be with it the whole time, so we have a little bit of a different relationship with the cast because we're going to be performing together the whole time. So I'm also a composer and a lyricist, and I write a show that's called Mock Your World, which you can find on the web at mockyourworld.com. The show is sort of like Forbidden Broadway, if you guys know that piece, in the sense that it uses parody and satire to talk about the Broadway community, and also just the world at large. It's not specific to the Broadway community, although a lot of the material is definitely focused on that. I do the show with a 4-member cast. It's Mariah Grande, Lisa Rothhauser, Chuck Ragsdale, and Ryan Murray. And we perform it at the Laurie Beachman Theater, which is on 42nd Street in New York City. And the show is a combination of parodies, which means I take the music from another show like Forbidden Broadway does, and I write my own new lyrics to it, and then also my original songs where I write the music and the lyrics to it. And like I said, the topics range from going to auditions, having bad auditions, to some things that are a little more, I guess you could say, R-rated. So there's some stuff that's a little more for the adult members of the audience. But it's a really fun piece, and we're going to show you a clip right now. There's a girl who comes to Starbucks, and I think she has a crush on me. I can tell she has a crush on me that's too big to ignore. She comes in here every morning at exactly 8:11, and the clock says 8:11. She comes walking through the door. Then one fateful Monday morning, as she made her usual entrance, I could tell that she was nervous. She had something to say. So I smoothly flipped the lever to prepare a double latte. And she said her name was Carol, and then I came back with hey. And I told her my name's Taylor, and here's a little extra fun. When she left, I cleaned her table, and I found a folded napkin with this poem. Taylor, the latte boy, bring me Java, bring me joy. Oh, Taylor, the latte boy, I love him, I love him, I love him. So in terms of being a performer, working with a conductor or music director, there's a couple things that I think is important to know. One is that definitely our job is the music side of it, so we are looking for someone who has musical accuracy. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily read music, although certainly that is a very helpful skill to have. It just means you have to be able to pick the music up in some way. So if you are someone who doesn't read music, you definitely need to come to rehearsal with a recording device. In this day and age, there's no excuse. There's tons of devices out there to record your part. And what I'm going to want you to do is to say to me, can you record that for me? And then I want you to come back the next day and have it. Because it's something that we just don't have the time in these rehearsal processes to teach you the notes by pounding them into your head again and again. You have to be able to do that stuff on your own. So the expectation is definitely that you're going to be able to pick up the music. And if you're not a reader, you need to really develop your oral skills and make sure that you really are listening hard and getting good at actually making sure that you're bringing the music in correctly. The second thing is that if you're doing a piece that has been done a lot, you may have the recording, and if you are more of a listener, sometimes you have just picked up the idiosyncrasies of whoever originally recorded that, but remembering that that is not necessarily what's on the page. So you need to make sure that if you think you know a song, make sure you have someone play through what the actual notes of the song are, written by the composer, because you're often surprised by what's there. It may be different than the way that you think it is. And you want to come to that rehearsal with as blank of a slate as possible. In other words, you want to know what the original composer wrote, and then you and your conductor can make decisions whether you want to keep those original notes or you're going to modify them, but they will be very appreciative if you really do know what's on the page. You're watching Broadway Backstage at BroadwayBlogspot.com. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Andrew Byrne. If you want more information on me, my website is Andrew M, as in Michael, Byrne, BYRNE.com, and my show is called Mock Your World. It's at mockyourworld.com.
We're sitting here at the show next to Normal. We have this sort of informal group of suburban moms who love to see musical theater. We adore it at Christmas. We are suburban moms who love to see theater, and I love Broadway. I really do. More than the rest of them, I love Broadway. I heard the show was good, so we're here, although we haven't a clue what it's about. We figured we'd check it out. I sure hope it isn't sad like down. We're sitting, and Alice Ripley just entered. She's walking right down stage center. She's a suburban mom who seems really perky and quirky. She's singing loud. This show is kind of wacky. Maybe it will be like Mamma Mia, a fun madcap family. What's that she said there? Look, she dropped a whole loaf of bread there. I think that son is just adorable. We're sitting, and now the show is progressing, and it's a little distressing. She's at her therapist. She's got a clenched up fist, and they are singing about lots of drugs.